Success is one of the most universal desires of the human soul. Regardless of culture, era, or circumstance, humanity continually searches for a life that feels meaningful, prosperous, balanced, and dignified. We want our work to matter, our relationships to flourish, our minds to remain clear, and our spirits to rest in quiet confidence. Yet when we look closely at our pursuit of success, we notice that it is often tangled with illusions that disturb our peace more than they guide our steps. Some believe success is the accumulation of material achievements. Others imagine it as recognition, influence, or victory over external obstacles, and still others define it as inner serenity, a life aligned with truth and moral clarity. Each of these visions holds a fragment of wisdom, yet none of them captures the whole. The human dilemma emerges precisely from this fragmentation. Our conception of success lacks unity. We chase many shadows, yet rarely seek the single light that gives them shape. In moments of ambition, we strive endlessly. In moments of doubt, we retreat fearfully. In moments of confusion, we measure our worth by standards we did not choose. And in moments of pain, we question whether success is reserved for others, as if some privileged portion of the world has been granted a path we cannot enter. This tension creates a persistent restlessness, a longing to find a path of success that is not built on illusion, but on wisdom. The ancient world struggled with the same questions. Long before modern notions of productivity or personal branding, individuals wrestled with the meaning of a prosperous life. Scholars sought mastery, merchants sought stability, leaders sought justice, and families sought harmony. The desire for success was not born in this generation. It is woven into the very structure of the human heart. What changes is not the desire, but the clarity with which we understand it. Maimonides lived in a time of political upheaval, intellectual transformation, and cultural complexity. Yet he did not see success as a mere reaction to external conditions. To him, authentic success was the natural outcome of aligning the inner world with truth. When a person understands the order of reality, purifies their intentions, strengthens their character, and cultivates the intellect, success becomes not something one pursues, but something one naturally attracts. But before one can walk that path, one must confront the dilemma that has challenged every generation, the tension between the external image of success and the internal essence of it. Many pursue wealth without wisdom. Many seek status without character. Many desire recognition without responsibility, and in this pursuit they lose themselves. Their lives become dominated by comparison, anxiety, and the constant fear of inadequacy. This is why the human soul longs for a stable foundation, a philosophy of success that does not collapse when circumstances change. Success that depends on fortune or the admiration of others is fragile. Success grounded in understanding, balance, and moral clarity is enduring. The dilemma becomes sharper when we notice how modern distractions amplify ancient confusions. Many people feel overwhelmed by a constant stream of information, opinions, and expectations. They measure themselves by the accomplishments of strangers or by standards crafted for entertainment rather than growth. The world offers noise, yet the soul seeks guidance. The world offers comparison, yet the soul seeks purpose. The world offers busyness, yet the soul seeks meaning. This tension invites a deeper question. What if true success is less about what one possesses and more about what one becomes? What if the outward results of prosperity are merely reflections of an inner structure? What if the teachings of an ancient sage, who lived centuries before the industrial age or the digital era, could reveal the path to a success that is steady, coherent, and wise? Maimonides proposed that success cannot be understood without understanding the human being. To build a flourishing life, one must first explore the architecture of the soul. Why does the mind desire clarity? Why does the heart resist confusion? Why does the body seek balance? Why does the spirit long for purpose? These questions are not abstract. They are practical. They reveal the blueprint of the human condition. The dilemma of success begins with a misunderstanding of human nature. When we assume that success is external, we chase external forms. When we assume it is internal, we cultivate internal virtues. Maimonides invites us to return to the root rather than the branches, to understand that the quality of a life flows from the quality of the soul. Prosperity without wisdom becomes a burden. Influence without discipline becomes dangerous. Ambition without ethics becomes hollow. The ancient teachings of Maimonides challenge us to examine not only our goals, but our motives. Why do we desire success? Is it to honor the gifts we have been given, to realize our potential, to benefit others, or is it to satisfy ego, fear, or envy? The intentions behind our pursuits shape the outcomes. A distorted intention creates a distorted life. A purified intention creates a life of clarity, strength, and direction. Yet this examination is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to liberate us. When we understand our motives, we gain freedom from them. When we see our illusions, they lose their power. When we identify the sources of our restlessness, we can begin to heal it. Maimonides taught that the human soul becomes healthy through knowledge of oneself, of the world, and of the divine order that sustains all things. The dilemma of success is also tied to balance. Many people overemphasize one aspect of life while neglecting others: intellect without emotion, productivity without rest, ambition without gratitude. Maimonides argued that the path of the golden mean, moderation guided by wisdom, is the key to enduring prosperity. Extremes may bring short gains, but they never bring lasting success. Stability arises from balance. Another layer of the dilemma lies in the relationship between reason and desire. Humans are often torn between what they know is wise and what they feel in the moment. Success requires harmony between these forces, the intellect guiding the desires energizing the intellect. When reason and desire fight, life becomes chaotic. When they cooperate, life becomes purposeful. Maimonides saw human beings not as broken, but as capable of extraordinary refinement. We are not condemned to confusion. We are invited to understanding. We are not prisoners of impulse. We are apprentices of wisdom. The teachings that attract success are not formulas or techniques. They are principles of inner order. They teach us how to structure our minds, align our actions, elevate our intentions, and cultivate a character that naturally draws prosperity. The human dilemma is therefore not a flaw to be ashamed of, but an invitation to seek clarity. And clarity is the beginning of transformation. When we understand the nature of success and the nature of ourselves, the path begins to reveal itself. And it is this path that Maimonides illuminates with timeless depth and precision. To understand how Maimonides viewed the pursuit of success, we must first understand how he viewed the human being. In his writings, from the Guide for the Perplexed to the 8 chapters to the Mishneh Torah, he never separated success from virtue, nor virtue from knowledge, nor knowledge from the order of creation. His thought is a unified architecture. To him, success is not a possession, but a condition of alignment. It is the natural outcome of living in harmony with the principles that govern the mind, the body, the emotions, and the soul. Maimonides held that the foundation of human greatness lies in the intellect, not merely in accumulating facts, but in clarifying confusion, understanding causes, and grasping the deeper meaning of existence. He believed that the clearer one's intellect becomes, the more stable and purposeful one's life becomes. Confusion leads to impulsiveness. Impulsiveness leads to imbalance. Imbalance leads to suffering. But clarity leads to order, and order leads to the kind of success that expands as one grows. Yet his intellectualism was never cold or detached. He insisted that knowledge is inseparable from character. In the 8 chapters, He explained that the soul has faculties, desires, emotions, thoughts, and that the goal of moral development is to bring these faculties into balance. His view of success is therefore both internal and external. A person who has mastered their inner life naturally becomes capable of mastering their outer life. Strength of character, clarity of mind, integrity of intention, these are the roots from which all worthy accomplishments grow. He wrote extensively about the golden mean, the idea that moral virtue lies between extremes of excess and deficiency. Courage lies between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity lies between miserliness and wastefulness. Ambition lies between passivity and obsession. Maimonides saw these not as abstract categories, but as practical guides for a flourishing life. When a person lives at the extremes, they lose control of their direction. But when they cultivate the middle path, they become steady, capable, and resilient. And resilience, to Maimonides, is essential for success. Life inevitably presents challenges, disappointments, and obstacles, but a balanced soul is not shaken by every gust of circumstance. The one who cultivates the golden mean becomes like a well-rooted tree, flexible in the wind, unwavering in the storm. This inner resilience is the quiet engine that allows success to emerge over time. Yet Maimonides did not limit his teaching to psychological balance. He also emphasized ethical responsibility. In the Mishneh Torah, he presents a vision of life in which every action, no matter how small, carries moral weight. He taught that one's conduct must reflect justice, compassion, humility, and integrity. To him, prosperity gained through injustice is not prosperity at all. Wealth obtained without righteousness does not elevate the soul, it diminishes it. True success, he argued, is inseparable from ethical refinement. Maimonides viewed ethical behavior not as a burden, but as a path to human dignity. When a person acts with justice, speaks with honesty, cares for others, and restrains harmful impulses, they create a world around them that is harmonious and trustworthy. It is this ethical foundation that attracts success, because people naturally gravitate toward those who embody wisdom and reliability. Prosperity becomes a byproduct of character. At the same time, Maimonides was a physician, and he believed that physical well-being was essential to spiritual and intellectual excellence. In his medical writings, he warned that a person who neglects their body weakens their mind, their emotions, and their judgment. Health, in his view, is not a luxury, it is a moral responsibility. A well-ordered life requires attentiveness to diet, rest, exercise, and moderation. A life of excess in food, drink, indulgence destroys clarity, weakens discipline, and obstructs the pursuit of higher goals. Thus, in Maimonides' understanding, success begins with the whole human being. It is not achieved by focusing on one area while ignoring others. It is achieved by nurturing the physical, ethical, intellectual, and spiritual dimensions of life simultaneously, each reinforcing the other. When these dimensions are aligned, success flows naturally, because the person has become capable of receiving it. But Maimonides went deeper still. He believed that the highest form of success is not material prosperity or social recognition, but intellectual and spiritual perfection, the understanding of truth that leads to the love of God. In the Guide for the Perplexed, he writes that the greatest human achievement is the knowledge of the divine, attained not through mystical ecstasy, but through disciplined inquiry, reflection, and moral purity. This knowledge transforms the individual's entire inner world. It instills peace, purpose, humility, and a sense of connection with the order of creation. This does not mean that Maimonides dismissed material success. Rather, he repositioned it. To him, external success is valuable when it serves internal growth. Wealth is noble when it supports generosity and responsibility. Fame is meaningful when it inspires moral action. Achievement is worthy when it reflects inner discipline and contributes to the well-being of others. But external success becomes dangerous when it becomes the goal itself. When ambition is separated from wisdom, it corrupts. When prosperity is separated from ethics, it destroys. Maimonides believed that the world has a structure, and success arises from understanding that structure. Just as one cannot defy the laws of nature without consequence, one cannot defy the laws of the soul. A person who acts with arrogance isolates themselves. A person who chases pleasure without restraint becomes enslaved to it. A person who clings to illusions loses their grip on reality. But the one who seeks truth, cultivates virtue, and practices moderation aligns themselves with the natural order, and that alignment generates strength. This is why Maimonides insisted that one must study both the world and oneself. The study of physics, metaphysics, ethics, and psychology is not merely academic. It is a path to becoming fully human. The more one understands the laws that govern existence, the more one becomes capable of living successfully within those laws. Ignorance leads to chaos. Knowledge leads to harmony. For Maimonides, success is not an event but a process, a lifelong ascent toward clarity, balance, and truth. It begins with the recognition that the human being is capable of greatness. It continues with the disciplined cultivation of moral and intellectual virtues, and it culminates in a life that reflects wisdom in action. His teachings endure because they reveal that success is not an accident. It is not luck, nor destiny, nor the privilege of a few. It is the natural outcome of a life shaped by knowledge, moderation, responsibility, and devotion. Anyone who undertakes this path attracts success, not by chasing it desperately, but by becoming the kind of person to whom success naturally gravitates. When Maimonides contemplates the journey of the human being, he does not divide life into compartments of intellect, emotion, faith, and action. His genius lies in the capacity to unify what others separate. He saw no conflict between reason and devotion, between analytical thought and spiritual longing, between philosophical inquiry and reverence for the divine. For him, these were not competing forces, but complementary aspects of a single human mission, to understand the world and, through that understanding, to elevate the soul. The spiritual synthesis he offers is not an escape from reality. It is an immersion into reality. It is a call to see the world not as a collection of disconnected events and impulses, but as a coherent structure whose principles can be known, respected, and lived. When the intellect grasps the order of creation, the heart responds with awe. When the heart is awakened, the will becomes disciplined. And when the will is disciplined, the entire life reflects harmony. In this synthesis, success becomes something deeper than achievement. It becomes a reflection of inner order. Maimonides teaches that the outer life mirrors the inner life. The person who is fragmented within will create fragmentation around them. The person who has cultivated balance, clarity, and purpose will radiate these qualities outward, shaping circumstances with quiet strength. Prosperity becomes not a prize to be won, but an expansion of one's inner architecture. To understand this, one must consider the connection between knowledge and devotion. Many assume that knowledge belongs to the mind and devotion belongs to the heart, as if these were separate domains. Maimonides refuses this separation. In the Guide for the Perplexed, he writes that the highest form of love of God is knowledge of God. The more one understands the nature of existence, the more one is drawn toward its creator with humility and wonder. Knowledge becomes the pathway to reverence, and reverence becomes the soul's deepest form of understanding. This unity between knowing and loving forms the foundation of Maimonides' spiritual synthesis. The intellect refines the heart energizes the will shapes the life. When a person understands the order of creation, they do not merely hold ideas, they become aligned with the structure of reality. That alignment is the essence of spiritual success. This concept reveals why Maimonides places so much emphasis on moderation, ethics, and clarity. He is not offering moral rules in isolation. He is describing the conditions of spiritual receptivity. A person controlled by impulse cannot contemplate truth deeply. A person dominated by fear or jealousy cannot experience inner calm. A person trapped in excess cannot rise to higher understanding. The cultivation of virtue is not the goal itself. It is the preparation for a life capable of receiving wisdom. When the soul becomes balanced, it becomes capable of seeing. This clarity leads to a profound shift, the realization that success is not separate from spiritual growth. The one who lives in alignment with the principles of existence attracts success because they are no longer fighting against the order of reality. They move with it. They understand the seasons of effort and rest. They understand the discipline required for mastery. They understand the humility needed for growth. They become participants in the harmony of creation. Maimonides believed that the highest level of spiritual life is achieved when knowledge and action merge. Knowledge without action is sterile. Action without knowledge is blind. But when knowledge guides action and action reinforces knowledge, the soul rises. Daily life becomes a form of worship. Ethical decisions become expressions of understanding. Work becomes a mode of discipline. Study becomes a form of devotion. This is the spiritual synthesis, not a retreat from the world, but a deeper engagement with it through clarity of mind and purity of intention. This union also transforms the way one views prosperity. Material success is no longer the measure of value, but a tool for service. Influence is no longer a platform for ego, but a responsibility. Achievement is no longer a symbol of personal power, but a reflection of internal order. Maimonides teaches that the more one elevates the soul, the more one's success becomes noble, stable, and beneficent. There is also a transformative humility in this synthesis. When one contemplates the vastness of creation and the precision of its laws, pride dissolves. Maimonides believed that arrogance is a form of blindness. It prevents the mind from seeing truth and the heart from feeling gratitude. But humility clears the path for wisdom. It does not diminish the self, it refines it. Humility allows the individual to grow without the weight of self-importance, to succeed without being consumed by ambition, and to live with purpose without becoming its prisoner. This humility also deepens one's reliance on reason. Maimonides saw reason as a divine gift, a bridge between the human and the transcendent. Through reason, one discerns truth from illusion, priority from distraction, and virtue from impulse. Reason becomes an instrument of liberation. It frees the soul from confusion and the mind from chaos. When reason is cultivated, life becomes coherent. When life is coherent, it becomes capable of achieving its highest aims. In this synthesis, desire is not suppressed, but refined. Maimonides did not teach that one should eliminate desire. Rather, he taught that desire must be guided by the intellect. When desire serves wisdom, it becomes creative energy. When it rebels against wisdom, it becomes destructive impulse. The disciplined alignment of desire with understanding is one of the deepest forms of spiritual success, because it unites the body, the mind, and the soul in a single direction. Maimonides also stressed that true success includes emotional mastery, not the suppression of emotion, but the understanding of it. Fear, anger, envy, and pride distort the perception of reality. Gratitude, patience, and compassion illuminate it. Emotional clarity is the result of intellectual clarity. When one understands the nature of the world and the purpose of life, emotions settle into their proper place. The soul becomes tranquil, and this tranquility becomes a source of strength. A tranquil soul attracts success through its stability. People trust those whose emotions are not swayed by every passing event. Opportunities gravitate toward those who maintain clarity under pressure. The tranquil soul sees farther, decides more wisely, and perseveres with greater endurance. This is why Maimonides places so much emphasis on emotional refinement. It is an essential element of the spiritual architecture that supports a flourishing life. At the heart of this synthesis lies one of his most profound insights, that the ultimate purpose of human existence is the pursuit of truth, and that all forms of genuine success flow from this pursuit. When a person seeks truth with sincerity, they shape their character, refine their actions, and purify their intentions. They become receptive to wisdom, aligned with natural order, and disciplined in their efforts. Their life becomes coherent, and coherence is the soil in which success grows. Thus, the spiritual synthesis of Maimonides is not mystical in the sense of escaping reality. It is mystical in the sense of penetrating reality. It is the realization that intellect and soul are not separate, that reason and reverence are partners, and that success is not the enemy of spirituality, but its natural companion when the soul is aligned with truth. The value of ancient wisdom lies not only in its beauty, but in its usability. Maimonides did not write for scholars alone. He wrote for anyone seeking clarity, integrity, and purpose. His philosophy becomes powerful when it shapes daily decisions, personal habits, and the direction of one's life. To attract success through his teachings is to create a structure in which prosperity becomes the natural outcome of a disciplined and balanced soul. The first practical teaching is the cultivation of clarity. Maimonides believed that confusion weakens the soul and obscures one's path. Therefore, begin by simplifying your inner world. Identify the principles that truly matter and commit to them. Reduce the distractions that scatter your attention. Create time each day, even if brief, to reflect on your goals, your intentions, and the direction of your life. When clarity becomes a habit, decisions become easier, priorities become visible, and the path ahead becomes navigable. The second teaching is moderation. In the Golden Mean, Maimonides gives one of the most powerful tools for attracting success. He teaches that extremes destroy stability. Success requires stamina, and stamina requires balance. Instead of burning yourself out in spasms of effort, cultivate consistent, moderate discipline. Instead of oscillating between indulgence and denial, structure your habits with thoughtful proportion. Moderate your speech, your consumption, your reactions, and your ambitions. Balance does not diminish achievement, it preserves the strength needed to achieve it. Third, cultivate ethical integrity. According to Maimonides, a life built on dishonesty, arrogance, or manipulation cannot sustain genuine success. Ethical clarity is not an ornament, it is structural. It determines the quality of your relationships, the trust others place in you, and the peace you experience internally. Speak with honesty even when it is inconvenient. Act with justice even when it is costly. Treat others with dignity even when they cannot return the favor. These qualities attract opportunities, strengthen alliances, and build a reputation that opens doors. Fourth, discipline the body. Maimonides' medical writings emphasize that the body is not separate from the soul. A neglected body will cloud the mind, weaken resolve, and destabilize emotion. Care for your health with moderation. Sleep with regularity. Eat with balance. Move your body daily in a way that strengthens rather than exhausts. A well-cared-for body becomes an ally in the pursuit of success. It gives you endurance, clarity, and emotional steadiness. Fifth, cultivate emotional mastery. Maimonides teaches that emotions should serve reason, not rule it. Begin by observing your emotional patterns without judgment. Notice where anger arises, where fear blocks you, where envy distracts you, where pride blinds you. Then guide these emotions with understanding. Anger becomes strength when directed by justice. Fear becomes caution when disciplined by reason. Ambition becomes purpose when purified of ego. The more you understand your emotions, the more you can harness them as instruments rather than obstacles. Sixth, commit to continual learning. For Maimonides, the growth of the intellect is the engine of all forms of success. Set aside time to study, reflect, and refine your understanding. Learn about your craft, your world, and your inner life. Seek mentors, read deeply, and engage with ideas that challenge you. An informed mind makes better decisions, sees opportunities earlier, and navigates adversity with greater wisdom. Continuous learning is not optional. It is the fuel of progress. Seventh, refine your intentions. Maimonides insists that the value of an action depends not only on the act itself, but on the intention behind it. Before pursuing a goal, ask yourself why you want it. Is it for growth, contribution, and mastery, or is it for approval, comparison, or vanity? Purified intentions generate stronger motivation, deeper resilience, and more meaningful success. When your motives align with truth, your actions align with purpose. Eighth, cultivate humility. Humility is not self-negation, it is clear-eyed self-understanding. It frees you from the burden of perfection, the anxiety of comparison, and the need for constant validation. It opens you to learning, correction, and growth. A humble person faces challenges with openness, accepts feedback without defensiveness, and collaborates without ego. Humility attracts trust, invites support, and preserves inner peace, even amid success. Ninth, practice gratitude. Maimonides saw gratitude as an expression of intellectual clarity. When you appreciate what you have, you recognize the order of your life and the sources of your blessings. Gratitude strengthens emotional stability, deepens relationships, and elevates perspective. It prevents ambition from turning into greed and effort from turning into resentment. By acknowledging the good within your life, you create the emotional conditions for greater good to enter. 10th, align your pursuits with a higher purpose. For Maimonides, the ultimate form of success is alignment with truth. This means recognizing that your talents, opportunities, and responsibilities are not isolated events. They are elements of a larger design. When your pursuits serve more than personal gain, when they contribute to others, elevate your character, and reflect your principles, your success becomes part of a greater order. This alignment brings coherence, meaning, and depth to your achievements. 11th, cultivate patience. Maimonides understood that growth follows the rhythm of nature. Trees do not bear fruit overnight. Mastery is not achieved in haste. Transformation requires sustained effort and calm perseverance. Impatience sabotages progress by creating frustration, impulsivity, and inconsistency. Patience, however, fortifies the will. It transforms effort into habit, habit into virtue, and virtue into success. When you practice patience, you build a foundation capable of supporting long-term flourishing. 12th, guard your environment. Maimonides teaches that the soul is shaped not only by internal choices, but by external influences. Surround yourself with people who elevate your thinking, strengthen your character, and reinforce your values. Distance yourself from influences that foster confusion, negativity, or moral compromise. A supportive environment is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It protects your clarity and supports your commitment to growth. 13th, structure your day with intention. Maimonides believed that order in time reflects order in the soul. Create routines that support your higher aims. Begin your day with reflection or study. Prioritize your most important tasks when your mind is strongest. Reserve time for rest and restoration. When your time is structured with purpose, your actions become coherent and your progress becomes steady. 14th, integrate work and virtue. Maimonides insisted that ethical excellence is not separate from professional achievement. Whether you are building a business, practicing a craft, leading a community, or caring for a family, your work becomes a form of moral refinement. When you approach your work with excellence, discipline, and integrity, your success becomes an expression of character. The workplace transforms into a training ground for wisdom. 15th, occasionally withdraw to reflect. Maimonides himself practiced periods of solitude for contemplation. Withdraw from noise, even briefly, to review your life, realign your intentions, and clarify your direction. Reflection is not idleness. It is nourishment for the soul. It allows you to re-enter the world with greater strength, insight, and purpose. These practices, grounded in the wisdom of Maimonides, do not create success artificially. They make you into the kind of person who naturally attracts it. Success becomes a consequence, not a pursuit. Stability becomes a habit, not a struggle. Purpose becomes a presence, not an aspiration. In the end, the teachings of Maimonides reveal that success is not reserved for the fortunate, but available to anyone willing to cultivate clarity, balance, virtue, and understanding. When the soul becomes ordered, life becomes ordered. When life becomes ordered, prosperity follows. And when prosperity is guided by wisdom, it becomes a blessing, not only for the one who attains it, but for all who are touched by their presence.